And Mike, can you hear us out there?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Let me tone the music down here so we sound a little bit better here. Well, Mike, listen, welcome to Anthony's Awesome Garage here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, Mike, before we go into all these descriptions here, get a little information on yourself here. Mike, did you grow up in New York City?
Yes, Brooklyn, New York, and Queens.
All right. Now, what musical influences have inspired you to want to become a musician and actually want to pick up a guitar?
Well, when I was about 15 years old, I used to play accordion.
Really?
And I played it for many years, and I did recitals with it. But there was that type of music was not too popular back then in the neighborhood or getting into any type of bands. So I told my mother back then that I wasn't interested anymore. And, you know, like a typical Italian mother, they go crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I know.
What happened is she bought me my first guitar for Christmas. And then I was practicing. I took some lessons until I got, you know, to the stage that, you know, I could get out there and play and join some bands.
Any names of some of your earlier bands that you played in?
Yes, I was in a band called, these were in the old days, we used to play rock and roll. It was the Hypnotic Gyrations. That was one of them with Dennis Cowan was the bass player back then. And then I was in another band, called the New City Blues Band. Mm-hmm. And Warren Wygan, he was a bass player back then with us. And we had a harp player, blues harp player, Fred Palmer. Now they call him Rockin' Red Palmer.
Mm-hmm. Now, was this all in the 60s, Mike?
Yes, yeah. These were early, you know, in the 60s, middle 60s.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, tell me, what was your first association with Screamin' Jay Hawkins, and how did you become his guitarist?
Okay, what happened is I had a friend that was a drummer. His name was Robert Cudarella. Mm-hmm. And we used to be in a band together. Then he became a producer for MCA Records back then. Mm-hmm. And he had a pretty high position. And he produced a lot of big names in the music business. And one day, I got a call from him asking me, did I want to join Screamin' Jay Hawkins' band? I said, what? He goes, yeah, they're looking for a guitarist. So I said, okay, just give me the information. He gave me his phone number. I went down to his apartment in Manhattan. I tried out. Screamin' Jay dug the way I played, and I joined the band. And that's the way it all began.
Now, when was your first live performance with Screamin' Jay Hawkins?
We played, you know, many performances. The one that really stays in my memory is the one at the Virginia Theater in Virginia. And that's also talked about, it's written about in the book that author Steve Bergsman put out, I Put a Spell on You, The Bizarre Life of Screamin' Jay Hawkins. Mm-hmm. What happened is it was an oldies concert. And when we performed, we were doing, it was a slow blues. I can't remember the tune. It might have been Constipation Blues. It's possible. That's one of his pretty well-known tunes. And Screamin' Jay, he always had a prop on the floor that he would step on with his foot. So it goes off and it blows smoke up in the air. And, you know, it looks like there's almost a fire. Mm-hmm. But at this time, I was standing next to him, and it happened not to go off. And what happened is he kept hitting it with his foot. Then he bent down on his knees and then banged it or punched it with his hand, and it blew up in his face.
Wow.
And he singed his forehead, his hair, and he fell out. You know, he fell down on the stage, and everybody thought it was part of the act. They were all going crazy, standing up, clapping hands, and I knew something was definitely wrong. Then the stage hands come out. They carry him off the stage, but he's yelling at the same time for me. He's screaming, he's on, keep playing, please keep playing. He's screaming out. So I'm saying, yeah, we're going to keep playing, but if he don't come back, how are we going to end the show?
Yeah.
So what happened, many minutes went by. It was a long time. And we kept playing this blues. And then after a little while later, he came back after the ambulances came. They put some stuff on his head and everything. And he came out, and the people went crazy, and the show went on.
There we go.
So that was, one of my things that stuck in my memory.
Yeah. Like I said, Mike, no business like show business, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Now, listen, this book, how did this book, I Put a Spell on You, The Bizarre Life of Screaming Jay Hawkins, and you mentioned the author, Steve Bergman. How did it all come together?
Well, what happened is one day me and Steve became Facebook friends, like, a million other people. And out of nowhere, I had a recording, a song that I wrote called Blues for Johnny Ace.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny Ace is a good friend of mine. He's a great bass player, and he lives in New York City still. And what happened is he copied that link I put up. It was on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And what happened is he liked the link. He put it on his site, Facebook page, and he explained to people that, Mike Armando likes Johnny Ace, and he was the wrong Johnny Ace. He thought it was Johnny Ace, which Steve Bergman wrote a book on that.
Mm-hmm.
He's the author of a book about Johnny Ace and his life, and that wasn't the case. So I said to myself, how am I going to contact him now? Because, he's telling people, this is Johnny Ace about the book he wrote. So I said, I have to tell him. So I texted him and told him it was the wrong Johnny Ace, and then, then he understood.
Oh, I got it.
And then what happened is months went by later, and then I said to myself, since he's an author, let me send him some information on Screaming Jay Hawkins.
Yeah.
At the beginning, he got back to me. He said he was very busy, and, I'll see. So I figured nothing's going to happen. And then months later, he did some research on him. Steve did some research on Screaming Jay and found out that he was really an interesting character.
Oh, sure he was.
And there was a lot to write about him. So he got back to me, Steve, and he said he's going to write the book. And then once that came into being, before the book came out, I started thinking. I said, well, we're going to have a great book. Steve Bergman is going to write a great book about Screaming Jay Hawkins' life and some of my experiences performing with him with, 100 other people. And, what can I do besides the book? So I thought about getting this group together called the Resurrection of Screaming Jay Hawkins Band. So that's how that all began.
So basically, based on the book, that's what led to the resurrection of Screaming Jay Hawkins.
Yes, and then I ran into a problem. I was trying to say, well, how am I going to get someone to portray Screaming Jay Hawkins who could sing like that? And people were telling me it's almost an impossible task. And
before you go,
I agreed with them.
Mike,
and I started getting a little scared. I'm saying, say I can't find this person. So I put an ad out on Craigslist. And I didn't have it out long. I mean, there was a lot of people that contacted me. But,
Mike,
they weren't
my next question.
That I thought that couldn't do the job.
Yeah, I don't mean to cut you off, but how many actors did you audition for the role of Screaming Jay Hawkins? And,
it wasn't many. It was 3.
Really?
That's all. And I settled on Shakur, the real Shakur Broomfield, which is a great singer, and it's amazing.
Man, that guy can sing the blues, man.
What's that?
He can sing the blues. I witnessed.
I know. You were there to hear it.
I was there to hear it. That's right. You're right. Okay.
And I followed up. I got the rest of the band together. Tim Price, who's an excellent sax player. Andrew Gobler, a great bass player. Gene Leninsky on drums, a very great jazz drummer. Could play anything. So this is how this all came about.
I see. Now, And let me mention this to everybody out here. The Bowery Electric, located at 327 Bowery in New York City. This coming Friday night is going to be your performance, your New York debut performance of the Resurrection of Screamin' Jay Hawkins. What could we expect to hear that night? And can you sort of describe to the listening audience maybe what they may experience?
Well, they're going to experience pure madness, like Screamin' Jay Hawkins used to say when I was in his group. When we get on that stage, all hell is going to break loose.
Wow.
And that's what's going to happen at the Bowery Electric Friday.
8 o'clock it starts.
February 7th.
Yeah, February 7th at 8 o'clock.
And we're going to try to do exactly like Screamin' Jay. We're trying to go back almost like a time machine.
Mm.
We're going to have the coffin there, which the singer's going to come out of, just like Screamin' Jay did.
Right.
Dressed up just like he did with the bones and everything. People in the audience are going to think that they're back in that time, seeing Screamin' Jay Hawkins. And then we're going to do a lot of his songs. I Put a Spell on You. There's a lot of songs a lot of people never heard of, which Screamin' Jay Hawkins done, recorded. The only one they're familiar with because it was a hit by a bunch of other artists was I Put a Spell on You. But we're going to do Constipation Blues, and that's why we're bringing a turlip pole along with that. It's going to be a crazy show.
Yeah, well, like I said.
It's only $15. That's cheap as anything for a New York City concert.
Mike,
and Steve Bergsman is going to also be there.
Yeah, he's going to talk about the book and Screamin' Jay Hawkins. That's going to be before your performance?
Yes, that's going to be at the beginning of the performance, and then after he's finished, then we're going to come on.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Now, Mike, on another note, you're also a producer. How many artists have you worked with?
Well, I produced. I put out about 15 records with a number of artists. Jazz vocalist Nancy Monroe, Fred Lipsius from the Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Art Frank, who was a drummer for the great late Chet Baker. I put out a recording with him. There's a bunch of them, and there's some top musicians on them, like Mike Stern, guitarist. I could go on and on. I'd have to really stop put my thoughts together for that one.
Yeah. Now, my next question, where do you want to take the Resurrection of Screamin' Jay Hawkins? Well,
we so far we're operating within the Northeast at this time, but we want to take it across the country because we have a great message, a great show, and we think that Screamin' Jay Hawkins should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean,
absolutely.
His song "I Put a Spell on You" is in the top 500 tunes that shaped American music. But he needs more than that, and a lot of people don't understand. So many people followed in his footsteps after that.
Oh, dude. Just think of the theatrical rock that came after him. Like Alice Cooper and, Crazy World of Arthur Brown, and who does a version of I Put a Spell on You.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I just felt he sort of opened the doors for all that mayhem. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I mean, this is good for everybody because then when people start hearing the show, they start looking back on Screamin' Jay Hawkins, and they start looking back at the other artists that followed in his footsteps.
That's true. Yeah. Now you mentioned the members in the band, and once it's just off the ground, are you working in any other future projects, Mike?
Well, right now, just this one. We're waiting for some more gigs, but I want to give a shout out to one person that his name is Larry Dinger. Larry Dinger had he was the music director for WOWI. It was a great station in Virginia. And he used to play a lot of Screamin' Jay Hawkins music and a lot of mine. I did a lot of performances there. And he had a great station, just like your great station, that people really should tune in on.
Oh, my God.
Great station. You don't see too many stations like yours because today the radio industry is so commercialized. The business people and the sponsors tell tell the DJs what to play.
Yeah.
And with you, we know that's not true.
No.
And with Larry Dinger, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And he really helped my career along with his wife, Jennifer Dinger.
Oh, I got
Two
you.
wonderful people.
Uh-huh.
And another person, Dave Nichols. He was another person from WI.
Well, listen, Mike, I want to thank you for coming on the air today on Anthony's Awesome Garage. And I want to tell you, and I extend this to you, God, Mike, my passion is so much with the music. It burns up inside of me. That's why I got so emotionally involved in your performance that night in Bordentown. I was in the front row.
I know.
I gotta get as close as this as possible, I said to myself. So anyway, listen, I'm gonna go ahead. You want to add anything, Mike?
Yeah. I just want to add one thing. I forgot. My brother-in-law, August Fessler, rest in peace. Mm-hmm. He was the drummer that I got in after I got in the group. They needed a drummer also, and August Fessler, my brother-in-law, he played drums the entire time, and he's in the book. If you read the book, I mentioned him in there too. A great drummer.
And there'll be copies of the book for sale, I'm sure, right?
Oh, yes. Steve Bergsman is going to be there.
He'll be signing books.
He's going to sign autographs along with myself.
Yeah, okay. Well, Mike, listen, once again, thanks for coming on and giving us the time to chat with us this afternoon. I'm going to get into I Put a Spell on You right now. And
okay.
Mike, I'm going to get off the microphone. I want you to dedicate this to my listening audience out there. Mike?
Okay, thanks very much. Have a great day, Anthony. Okay, bye.